So in this video I'll be showing you how you can use your Casio calculator to enter time amounts to enable you to answer questions relating to time. Now, one of the more challenging yet quite simple topics that students tend to find quite difficult is working with time. Now, there is a feature on your calculator that allows you to work with time. Now, one of the key problems when working with time, and one of the confusing aspects, is time amounts aren't the same as normal numbers. So with normal numbers we tend to go up in units, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, etc. Whereas with time, a new hour or a new minute starts after 60. Now there is a function on your calculator, a Casio calculator, that allows you to work with time, which is a button that you may have never really realised actually existed. So if you had questions like the ones you can see on your screen, so questions like if it took you 1 hour and 34 minutes to get to your aunt's house and 2 hours and 45 minutes to get back home, what was the total travel time? Or questions like a film starts at 3:42 p.m. and finishes at 5:23 p.m, how long is the film? Or a question like a truck leaves the depot at 8:13 a.m. and travels for 6 hours 48 minutes, what time does the truck arrive at its destination? And questions where you're combining a series of time amounts, so for example a series of YouTube videos lasts 13 minutes for 24 seconds, 7 minutes 52 seconds and 57 seconds, what is the total duration of the videos? So questions like this, if you were doing with a piece of paper, can get a little bit more confusing, because what you'd have to do is convert them all into one unit time. So for example, like all into seconds, all into minutes, all into hours, which is really difficult when you're working with a combination, because it's not easy. Sometimes using a clock or a phase clock can sometimes help, but when you've got seconds involved, there's just too many hands that you have to kind of mess around with. So let's have a look at how you can enter time on your calculator. Now if you've got a Casio calculator, yours most likely will be more of a modern version than the one you can see on the screen. Now your time button is actually this one here. Now if I just select a decent colour, now this button here is your time button. Now it's the one next to your sort of negative number button. So you want to try and find that button. Unfortunately, if you don't have that button on your calculator, then unfortunately this video is pretty useless to you, and your calculator will not be able to allow you to work with time. So first thing, before we start working with time questions, let's look at how we can enter time amounts using this button on your calculator. Now to enter a time of 2 hours and 53 minutes, what I need to do is press 2, then press that button. Now if I just load up the calculator and I'll work it with you. So here we've got the calculator. So for me to enter 2 hours 53 minutes, I'm going to enter 2, then press this button so it comes up with like a little degree symbol, and then 53. And then the most important thing, which a lot of people tend to forget, I need to finish off by pressing that button once again. So what it looks like is 2 with a little box, 53, and again remembering a little box next to it. To enter 7 hours 13 minutes and 45 seconds, so here we've got 3 units of time, what I need to do is press 7, then press that button, then press 13, press that button again, and then 45, and then press that button. So the first box would always be the highest value of time, so don't worry about, there is no difference in terms of hours, minutes and seconds, but just remember that when you are working with time, if you do end up with something like this, hours comes up first, then minutes, then seconds. Now if you end up with 2 amounts, it might be just minutes and then seconds and so forth, and again it's just a case of using your common sense to work with each other. So to enter 7 minutes and 43 seconds, so it's going to be 7, little box, 43, and there you go. Now if I wanted to write this using hours, I could enter is 0 with a box, because I've got 0 hours, 7 minutes and 43 seconds. Now personally I would actually opt for writing it in this way, just in case you've got questions that goes on to the next units. So I would always try and recommend it working like this. Now again, if you've got 0 seconds, if I go back to question 1, I could enter this like that, because I've got 0 seconds. So entering 5 hours 23, I'm going to end up 5, little box, 23, close box, and 0 seconds. And again, seconds not really important if your question doesn't involve seconds. with question 4, actually let's change these, because that should be 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just get rid of that. Editing issues there. So working with this, I'm going to enter 0 hours, 0 minutes and 32 seconds with a little box. 3:45 p.m. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this into a 12-hour clock, so that's going to be 15:54, and then what I would then do is then convert that to 15, little box, 54, another little box. For 5:12 a.m. that's going to be 05:12. So I've got 0 hours, so it's 5 box 12 little box, and then for 4:45 p.m. again convert that into 24-hour clock. So that's 16:45. So I'm going to enter 16:45 and the box. Now if I had seconds, I would add a 0 with the little box. But again, the key thing to remember here is don't forget that final box. And if you don't enter that box, what you'd end up is with a syntax error. So for example, if let's say I wanted to combine 2 hours together, so let's say I want to enter add 2 hours 53 minutes plus 5 hours and 45 minutes. Now if I press equals, it's going to come up with a syntax error, and the reason for that is because I didn't finish off the 45 with a box at the end. So if I close up, put a box there, press equals, so the total combined time of 2 hours 53 minutes plus 5 hours 45 minutes is 8 hours and 38 minutes, and you can go from there. Now again, your calculator will come up with different types of a circle, one sort of speech mark and then a proper speech mark or apostrophe. So, and that it's just a case of that. So the first one is hours, then minutes, then seconds. Now if I just work with minutes, so for example if I did 23 minutes and 12 seconds plus 6 minutes and let's go for 58 seconds, press equals, so you can see here that's going to be 30 minutes and 10 seconds. Now again, just make sure that you don't get confused in meaning that's 30 hours and 10 minutes, so it's always worth just using a common sense to see what answer looks actual reasonable. So let's have a look at those questions that we had, and let's have a look at how we'd enter these questions on your calculator. So for the first one, let's have a look at this. So it said it took me 1 hour 34 minutes to get to my aunt's house and 2 hours and 45 minutes to get back. So what I would do for question 1, so let's just write number 1. So how I'd enter this is 1 little box 34 the box plus 2 hours and 45 minutes, and what I'll do is I'll type that into my calculator. So let me just get the calculator up, restart it. So I've got 1:34 box plus 2:45, and again remembering the box, press equals, so it gives me an hour of 4 hours and 19 minutes. So the answer here is 4 hours and 19 minutes. So then working with question 2, so here I'm going to work out the time difference. So here I want to work out the difference between those two times. So again, what you want to do first is convert them into a 24-hour clock. So that's going to be 17:23, and this time here is going to be 15:42. So what I'm going to then do is I'm going to do 17:23 minus 15:42 with a little box, and again I'm going to get my calculator, I'm going to enter that in, so let's reset it. So I've got 17:23 minus 15:42, and again don't forget the little box to end, equals, so it's going to be 1 hour and 41 minutes. So 1 hour and 41 minutes. Now with question 3, so here we're dealing with an actual time in the day and some hours and minutes. So first things first, I'm going to write this time as 8:13 in 24-hour clock time. So it's going to be 08:13. So here to add these two times, so I need to add 6 hours and 48 minutes to 8:13. So I'm going to enter 8 box 13 plus 6 48 with a little box. Now if I type that into the calculator, let me just load that up and reset. So I've got 8:13 with a box, and then plus 6 hours and 48 minutes including the boxes, press equals, and I get 15:01. Now if I want to write that as a 12-hour clock, it's going to be 3:01 PM, and there we go. Now with question 4, now here what we've got to do here is we've got to add 3 different times together. Now the key thing to note in this is the fact that we have got a change of units. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write each of these times in hours, minutes and units. So looking at the first time, that's 0 hours 13 minutes and 24 seconds plus 0 hours 7 minutes and 52 seconds, and for the third time I've got 0 hours 0 minutes and 57 seconds. Now if I enter that in all on my calculator, so let's just load that back up. So I'm going to enter 0, 13, 24 plus 0, 7, 52 plus 0. Now the key thing to remember with this is that you always, after every single number, you're pressing that time button again. So here if I press equals, and if I've entered it wrong, it will come up with a syntax error, so you just need to go back and just check to make sure you've got a little box just on the above on the right hand corner of each of the numbers. So here I've got 22 minutes and 8 seconds, so equals 22 minutes and 8 seconds, and there you go.